Hello friends, welcome back to another video of me just yapping. Yay! I'm driving once again. I wanted to talk about the importance of Audacity and why you should kind of like lean into the Audacity and stop consulting a million people before making a decision. But I find too many people will ask one person will be like, yeah, go ahead, do it. And then they ask another person, and the person's like, nah, I think that's risky, like, you shouldn't do it. Then they ask another person, and then eventually they end up not doing it because now their decision, they've opened the door for other people to make the decision as well or make it their business. But you're responsible for your own stuff. Because all that happens is if you ask a million people what to do, and no matter if you end up doing it, and let's say it doesn't go too hard or whatever, you're going to think about the person that told you don't do it, and you're going to say, oh, they were right. Or why would this person encourage me to do such and such? We all have the ability to make different choices in our life. And I think everyone needs a bit of Audacity in their lives. And I feel like Audacity and not overthinking helps you overcome certain types of anxious feelings you get when it comes to certain stuff. I think this is a bit better. But I find, a little bit of Audacity will bring you a long way, especially when we stop overthinking and stuff like that. There's too many people I know that are like, oh, I want to do this, but I have to make sure I have this first, and I have that first, and I have this first, and I have that first. Speaking from experience, the things that I've seen and the things that I have personally done myself, I'm not the type to really consult many people before doing something. I'll just like wake up one day and I'm like, I want to do this. Booked or like get stuff done. Like I remember I wanted to go on a solo trip so bad. And I wanted to go watch a Broadway show because I like musicals. And I remember I finished watching a musical. I forgot which one it was. And I was like, I want to see Chicago in Manhattan. So I went online. I booked it. Best way to exercise free will. And then I was like, okay, well, now that I have that booked and it's next month, I need a place to stay. Oh, and I booked the flight too. I booked the flight because I had Aeroplan points. So I was like, oh, flight's going to be free anyways. I booked the flight to New York. I'm like, okay, now I just need to figure out where I'm going to stay. There's hotels, there's family, and there's Airbnb. Let me do some research. I remember coming out, telling my family, yeah, I'm going to New York next month. And they're like, wait, what? You just booked a trip and didn't tell anybody? Why am I going to tell anybody? I feel like going to watch Broadway. And I have the ability to do it, and I wanted to see it, so let me just do it, Because if I start consulting people, then it turns into, oh, I want to go too. How about we go next year? How about we go during this time when I could get time off? No, I want to go next month, so let me just book it. So that's personally how I am. But when it comes to like business, content creation, influencing, all of these things, I've seen people, first of all, I'm sure anyone could think of a terrible artist out there where their music is not so hot, but they do have a wide fan base and they do have a following. If they go on tour, they're still going to be sold out shows. I'm sure you can think of an author that has written a book and you've read that book and you're like, this book is actually trash, but how is it on New York Times bestseller? I'm sure you've watched YouTube and you're like, this person is not using any type of special equipment, no special effects. How do they have 1 million subscribers? There's businesses out there where it's like the product's not even that great, but how come it's earning so much in revenue? Service-based businesses. Oh, it's not this, but how come that? Like, there is a consumer for anything and everything. And on top of that, if there are people out there that actually have trash products, but they have Audacity to sell the products and there's people to buy them, and you could probably do better than that, I don't understand why you're not starting. I'm not trying to yell at you, but like when I think of it, I've seen, for instance, people say they want to start a marketing agency. There's marketing agencies out there that don't even edit videos properly, and there's watermarks of CapCut all over the video. But you're too scared because you have to talk to people. There's people out there that want to start brands, but they're like, I want it to be faceless. I don't want people to know that it's me. I remember when I was younger, I said I wanted to start a company that was a faceless brand because I just didn't want people to associate a brand with me, or I wanted to see if I could just build something as like an anonymous, like mysterious. Like, why was I doing too much? I don't understand. Like, I'm sure if I wanted to find the founder of Walmart, I could just Google them and find their name. I'm like, oh my goodness, who's the owner of this company? It's so, like, mysterious. I'm sure there's companies out there that may have successfully done that or whatever, but people buy from people at the end of the day. They want to know that the company is being ran by, like, a person that is local or whatever. You know, people have their reasons for buying from people. But I remember I used to overthink things way too much when it came to business, way too much when it came to posting. Even now when I post, when I think about how I used to post back in the day, because I've had this YouTube channel, I think, since 2011. I've never really started up a new channel. I've just privatized the videos that I had on here before, which, who knows, maybe I'll unprivate them, but it's of no use to, like, the way I think now, because it was all, like, high school, elementary stuff, makeup tutorial, whatever. But the way I used to post before, I had ring light, I had a camera, then I had to get, what is that? Final Cut Pro. Like, I was really thinking about the 2015 YouTubers at the time with the Final Cut Pro and using iMovie, so then you have to get an iMac. I never ended up getting an iMac. But that's the way I was thinking. I'm like, I need all these things so I could curate the best form of content. When I look back at those videos, I probably thought I was really doing something. But when I look at them now, I think the only thing I missed was the audacity that I had to post. And then when I started getting into my head, when I started getting more self-conscious, when I started thinking about, you know, what are the people at school going to say, or the people who did see it at school, and they're like, oh, you have that funny YouTuber voice, whatever, I stopped posting videos when I should have just kept doing. I know good and well that those same people that were saying stuff like that are the same people who would, like, laugh at the videos are, one, just another view and an interaction engagement with my post or my upload, and number two, probably wouldn't get on the internet themselves and do it. So, I don't know. I always tell my nephew, there's dreamers and doers. Which one are you going to be? Are you going to get up and do stuff, or are you going to sit there and just dream? Because if you sit there and dream, yeah, that's great to think, oh, what could be and what if and what that. But I am a big believer in just getting up and getting it done. I talk about with my friends all the time, compounding things. You can compound things in every aspect of your life. It doesn't even have to just, it doesn't always have to associate with money. But even if you wanted to start a hobby, let's say you want to get into piano, violin, 30 minutes a day. If you can't commit to 30 minutes a day, even if you did less, you're still doing better than if you were to pick it up ever so often. If you wanted to get into photography, yeah, there might be some great lenses out there and great cameras, right? But if you only have your phone right now, just use your phone. See what cool features you can unlock on your phone and utilize that for a bit and work your way up to a camera. If you wanted to run a marathon, you're not going to just wake up tomorrow and run a marathon. You're probably going to join a running club first, or go for a little jog in your neighborhood and train up to the time where now you can run a marathon. There's baby steps that can be taken towards any single goal, and all you need to do is be audacious in order to do it. You don't need to consult a bunch of people. Like, yes, you could have your cheerleaders in that corner where, you know, if you pitch something to them, you know they're going to be supportive. But there is no reason to sit there and be like, you know, should I do this? Should I? The more you think, should I, the more likely you're not going to do it. So you might as well just get up and do it. That is just my thoughts on that. And I find as much as I can be an anxious girly at times, because I'm not going to sit here and act like I've never experienced imposter syndrome. I don't know. Sometimes when you're going through the tasks that you need to do and achieving certain goals, you may still feel that imposter syndrome. So I'm just kind of like, do I want to be anxious over my what ifs, or should I be anxious over what's next? You know? I find, like, before I used to be like, oh my goodness, like, I want to start this thing. Like, I'm sitting here wondering, what if I start posting on YouTube often? What if? Now I'm posting. It's nothing crazy that I'm posting. And now I'm probably anxious now, like, okay, what's next? What's going to happen? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But that's just how the mind works. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I have to acknowledge in the times when I do feel anxious, I look around and I'm like, I'm literally not in a position where I'm in danger. So why do I feel like my heart is beating 100 miles per hour and I feel like just going back home, or like retreating back into my safe place? I now feel excited when I'm entering like a new part of my life where it's just a learning experience at this point, which, you know, when things are steady, it's awesome. And I think the great part about the unknown is that you're going to learn something new about yourself and develop a skill that you've never had before. And that's just constantly learning. You don't have to be in school to constantly learn, but to just be experienced and live life and expose yourself to like new things and new perspectives is always awesome. And even with perspectives on everything, if you look at everything with a scarcity mindset and you're always worried, you're going to just attract things, or not even, you're going to look at everything through that lens that you'll miss the opportunities. So if I give you an example, if I think I'm scared of heights, like to the point where I'm scared of planes, and I think of every reason why I should just have both feet planted on the ground. Nothing has necessarily happened to me for me to be afraid of heights, but this is just how I'm thinking, just constantly worried. And finally the opportunity comes for me to go on vacation. But I say, oh, no, I don't do planes, so I'm not going on vacation. I will skip out on it. You guys can go have fun without me, whatever. I feel like that's just a missed opportunity to be exposed to a new culture, maybe bond with some people you've never bonded with before. And who knows what was going to transpire while you were there. But if you keep living in fear and bubble wrapping yourself, you'll never get exposed to that stuff or know what could have come up from it, you know? And then you just kind of sit there and constantly ask, like, what if? Whereas if you maybe had gone on that vacation, you may have learned something about yourself. Like, I recommend to anybody to do international travel and solo traveling at least once in their life, because once you do it, you'll be like, okay, what's next? That was awesome. Or maybe you'll be like, okay, that was very interesting, but I would go traveling again, but maybe I'll do it this way instead. Or maybe I'll go by myself. Or, you know what? I've watched this on Natural Geographics and I really wanted to check out this country. Everyone travels differently. So even if you traveled with a group a first time and then the second time you said, I want to go back to this place, but maybe I will do an Airbnb instead of a hotel because I want to kind of like live like how locals live, or whatever interests you. There's different ways to travel and there's a different experience to take away from every single trip you take. And you learn so much about yourself, how you are with people, how you are by yourself, all of these things. But if you live in fear, you'll never get to see that part of yourself. You'll never be able to broaden your horizon and expose yourself to things that maybe you just needed. But then if you stay, there's people that stay in their hometown all their life and they never leave at all. And And like the world is so beautiful. Why wouldn't you leave? And it's literally because they're too scared. They're scared of the unknown. They don't know what to expect. And like I mentioned before, we're in this day and age where we have technology to do the research. If you don't know too much about a place, do your research. Where's the best place to stay? What are the things you can do? What, whatever interests you over here, maybe they have, like if you're into history, if you're into art, maybe they have something over in wherever you want to visit. This is just an example of travel, but I believe that this applies to everything. It's okay to be curious. Nothing's wrong with that. And it's okay to be authentically yourself. Like, I'd say, for the most part, I'm unapologetically myself. I really don't care. Which, if you ask anyone, I literally don't care. And I feel like caring less also helps. Because everyone thinks about themselves to the point where even when people project their feelings on you and you feel like it's personal, it really isn't personal. They're just, they're telling you how they feel about themselves. So, yeah. Everyone's responsible for their own life, and then if you're making a bunch of excuses as to why you can't start something or why you're in a certain position, just remember, you hold the keys to your own life. And aside from God, nobody's stopping you. So what's really holding you back? But anyways, I digress. I feel like I've said a lot. And I have no idea what I'm going to title this video. I never know what I'm going to title any of the videos that I post. I just kind of put something there. But yes, be audacious. Don't overthink. And just be yourself and see what comes of it. And yeah. Yep. I'll see you in my next video.